Welcome to our virtual session. We are so glad to have you here today. And of course, we are offering you the opportunity to learn about our certificate program in injury and violence prevention. My name is Yvonne Boise, and I'm one of the senior directors of admission at the Rollins School of Public Health. And I know that we have an audience today of both prospective and admitted students. Welcome to our Rollins community. We're really glad to have you. I'm now going to turn over the presentation to our panelists who will be introducing themselves. I'm going to turn off my video camera so that you can have the opportunity to connect with our presenters, but I will be back on when we have the opportunity for our Q&A. So with that, a warm welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lamas, who will be introducing himself.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm excited to talk to you this morning about the Certificate in Injury and Violence Prevention. We're very excited for the certificate, especially because we've recently been awarded a large grant to our Injury Prevention Research Center, which provides a lot of opportunities for students. And I will be discussing those in a bit. So welcome, and I hope you learn about the certificate program, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the end. Next slide, please. So there's many different ways to get involved in injury prevention, and often it's students sometimes believe that injury prevention is only, injuries that people think about, like falls or violence. But there's really lots of different career paths that one can go into if they're interested in violence and injury prevention. And a few of these are listed here, and we have, for example, Senior Program Coordinator at Save Kids Georgia, Injury Prevention Coordinator at Grady Memorial Hospital. There's the Deputy Director, the Injury Prevention Program, Director of Developmental and Special Projects, the occupational therapists, athletic trainers, and attorneys. These are just some of the career paths that people could go into if they're interested in injury and violence prevention. And we actually have a injury and violence career paths, several videos on our website. So I invite you to go to those on our social media page. But the point here is if you are interested in injury and violence prevention, there's so many opportunities. So, we're happy to discuss many of these with you if you're interested in, if you enroll into the certificate program. Next, please. So, as I've mentioned, the certificate program is coordinated through the Injury and Violence Prevention Center at Emory. iPrice is what we call it, and it connects students to a broad network of professionals, organizations, working locally, regionally, and nationally and internationally. So we have lots of core faculty as well as affiliated faculty who are well connected throughout the state, region, the U.S., and the world. So there's many opportunities that you can get involved in. Next, please. So some of the goals of their certificate program are for students to gain access to relevant courses across the Lady Graduate School in Rollins. And there's a variety of practical opportunities to conduct research while preparing to work in the injury and violence prevention field. We take an interdisciplinary approach of training and mentoring in preparation to provide leadership opportunities in injury and violence prevention. And our goal is really to train the next generation of leaders in injury and violence prevention. Next, please. So again, the purpose is to prepare students to become leaders. And we do this by raising awareness and the importance of injury and violence prevention, increasing the understanding of causes, consequences, and control strategies for injury and violence. We educate students on research design, analysis, and methods used to study injury and violence, and we expose the students in the certificate program to a vast network of injury and violence experts who are conducting research in the area, as well as doing clinical work or in other professional capacities. Next, please. So the benefits of receiving the certificate in furthering your career in injury and violence prevention are to learn skills relevant to careers in injury and violence prevention and connect with the iPrice Professional Network, which again is, there are many researchers, clinicians, professors that are doing this work. We also provide lots of professional development opportunities. So I mentioned that we recently received a large federal grant from the CDC. And this allows us to provide many opportunities, including summer scholarships, internships, funding, trainings, and lectures for students who are enrolled in the certificate program. So, for instance, our summer scholarships will provide a few $1,000s for students to do research in their area of interest related to injury and violence prevention. We also have a wide array of placements of practicums in injury and violence prevention, and I have a list of those coming up. But those are really exciting. They're throughout Georgia and really prominent places that you get really good experience in the field. And lastly, it's the opportunity to develop your skills in preparation for working in the prevention field. So once you enroll and are hopefully accepted in the program, I'll meet with you on a one-on-one basis, probably through Zoom, but maybe we'll be back in session in the fall. But the core, you're required to take 2 core courses, which are 2 credits each. The first one is injury prevention and control, and that's usually taken in the fall. And the second one is violence is a public health problem, and that's taken in the spring. So after you are accepted into the program, again, you'll meet with me and we'll try to work with your advisor and you to get you into this fall course. However, if there's some issues with you not being able to take the course in the fall due to your course load already, and if you have to take certain courses for your MPH, we will work with you, and maybe you could take this that injury prevention course in the fall of your second year. But ideally, we'd like to see this progression of injury prevention in the fall of your first year, and then violence is a public health problem in the spring, and they build on each other. We also require 5 credits, 5 elective credits in injury violence prevention. We have a large list of these electives that have something to do with injury violence. They are on our website, so I'll share that with you at the end. But please feel free to look at the list of electives that may interest you. But you are required to take 5 of those credits, 5 of those elective credits. You're also required to attend 2 injury-related brown bags. And we hope to have brown bag lectures in injury and violence in at least every couple months, but hopefully every month. So you'll have many opportunities to attend these lectures, but you are only required to attend 2 of them for the certificate. Next, we have the injury and violence related practicum. So I want to be clear that this practicum placement is not in addition to the practicum placement that you're already required to take for your MPH. This is that requirement for your MPH just needs to be in injury and violence prevention. So we can discuss many opportunities and what you're interested in and how we can link you with the best practicum experience. But again, this is not in addition to, it's just for your MPH practicum. And the capstone and thesis, or the capstone is for PhD students. And the thesis is, again, this is the thesis that you would be writing already, and it just needs to be in the area of injury and violence prevention. And we will discuss those options and what you're interested in, and but work with your main thesis advisor. Next, please. So I mentioned the many practicum placements that students have gone to in the past. Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the Shepherd Center, the Women's Resource Center, the Georgia Department of Public Health and the opioid program, CDC, of course, the Emory Environmental Health and Safety Office, Georgia Poison Control, Safe States Alliance, Brain Injury Association of Georgia, and the Georgia Division of Aging and the Forensic Unit. So these are just a few examples. We have, again, relationships with many organizations, many practicum sites, and we'll really be able to hook you up with the a really quality practicum placement that you can focus your work on in that placement. So we're excited about all these organizations, and once you kind of let us know what your interest is, then we could set you up with the best possible practicum placement. Next, please. So, how to apply. So the selection into the program is based on academic goals and demonstrated interest in injury violence prevention. The applications are accepted on a rolling basis. So as soon as you know that you are interested in the program, you can go ahead and apply. Obviously, after you're accepted into the MPH program. But as soon as you're accepted and you know you're interested, please apply. Please email me if you have any questions. Here's the website, iPrice Education and Training, and it'll be on my final slide as well. You download the application. It's just one page, and you complete that information and have your advisor sign it. If you're unsure who your advisor is at the time of applying, for example, if you want to apply now and you don't know who your advisor is, you can just let me know that, and we can work with you on that. You also need to provide a current transcript. So transcript of your university. It doesn't have to be the official one. It could just be a copy. You'll need to send your updated CV or resume. And then lastly, just a one-page reflection statement. And that is, the directions for that are provided on our website. But it's essentially a one-page statement of why you want to be in the program and how being in the program will further your career goals. You email me this application. Again, it's a pretty simple process, but you email it to me at dorian.lamus@emory.edu, and then we will review your application with our steering committee and get back to you within a few days, usually definitely within a week. with our decision and next steps. And we'll include you on the listserv of iPrice, and again, you'll be able to enjoy many of the opportunities that we have available through our research center, but in general, and in our certificate program in particular. So again, if the applications are accepted on a rolling basis, please try to apply before the fall drop ad deadline, because we want to get you into the fall core course if possible. The next slide. So again, there's a website at the bottom that will give you all of the information that you need on the certificate program. If you have any questions, there's my email address. I'll open up to questions. The next slide has our social media presence, which we're ramping up, and we're excited about that. But we are, trying to do all we can to provide a really great opportunities for students who are interested in this work in injury violence prevention. So with that, we'll take any questions that you have.
So our first question comes from a student asking if international students can apply for this program.
Yes, I don't see why not. The international students that are enrolled in the MPH program and are attending Emory?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, definitely, of course. We have, and we would be excited to have you in the program and have an international perspective. And again, we have some international opportunities. So there's definitely no reason why international students should not apply.
Great, thank you. And next question, does the program work for students who are pursuing an MSPH?
Yes, so we have had some students in the program who are pursuing the MSPH. We actually, for students, I've really focused on the MPH here, but we also admit students who are pursuing PhDs in the Laney School. We have had one student who was enrolled in the Candler program, getting his Master's of Divinity. So yes, that we definitely accept students getting their MSPH.
Great, thank you. And a couple of other sort of programmatic questions. Is it possible for a student who is enrolled in the dual degree program, the JD-MPH, and also someone asking, is it possible to participate if you're in the dual degree program, the MD-MPH? Yes.
We don't discriminate here. So, if you are interested in injury and violence prevention and you want to pursue their certificate, we will basically allow any students who are pursuing degrees across the university. So we haven't had an MD, MPH dual student, but we would definitely love to have you. So iPrice is actually housed, I don't know if housed is the right word, but in emergency medicine. So, we have a lot of MDs in iPrice that, MDs would probably find a lot of opportunities available to them. So yes, long answer to the short question, we will definitely, accept students from disciplines across the university.
Perfect, thank you. And we have two students asking if it's possible to apply after the first semester.
So it is, but ideally we would like to get you started early, to get you started in your first semester, just so we can get you on track to take all the required courses. Because some, like I mentioned, some are only the core courses are in that sequence of fall and spring. So although it doesn't preclude you from applying or for entering the program, our preference would be that you can you would start before or in your first semester. But if we have any, first year students that are, finishing up their first year now and they're interested, please send me an email. We'll definitely consider you. We've done that in the past. We know it's often difficult to take the required core courses in the sequence that we would like, given the course load often required by the MPH program and your advisor in the first year. So we'll definitely work with you. We just want students who are interested in injury and violence prevention, and so definitely apply or email me if you're in your second semester or ending your first year. But again, getting you involved early is the preference, because there's so many opportunities, and having you immersed in everything we have to offer earlier rather than later is our preference.
Thank you. And next question, what is the tuition fee for the program?
For the certificate program?
Yes, I think they're wondering if there's an additional fee.
No, there is no additional fee. You pay what you do for your MPH program, and there's no additional fee for the certificate. In fact, we have money to provide you for the summer scholarships, for the internships, for the other things available. So there's definitely not an additional cost for the certificate program.
Great, thank you. And a student asking, am I able to use courses that are required for my department, such as toxicology, as a part of the electives for this certificate?
Yes, definitely. If there's overlap in your department with the electives that we have listed, that is completely fine. You don't have to take separate ones outside of your department required courses. So if it happens to overlap, go for it, and that works. Also, if there are courses that aren't listed on our website as electives, you could always feel free to email me if you think that they have some relation to injury and violence. I will contact the instructor of the course and review the syllabus, and if it does have some relation, then we can add that to the elective list.
Thank you. And a question coming in, can students who are not enrolled in Emory University apply?
So that's a good question. And we are actually in the process of opening it up to students outside of Emory right now. It is housed within Emory. So that said, if you are in a university outside of Emory and you're really interested in getting involved in the certificate program, please email me and we could see what we could do, because like I said, we're in the process of trying to open it up. And outside of the certificate program, just for iPrice, our Injury Prevention Research Center at Emory, any people outside of Emory could definitely be involved in iPrice. So these are two different, the certificate program is a part of iPrice. If you're outside of Emory, you can get involved in our task forces and other components of iPrice 100%. But in terms of a certificate program, if you're interested in the certificate outside of Emory, please email me and we can see where we are in that process and if we can accommodate you.
Thank you. And now a sort of content question. Are there opportunities specific to sexual violence or gender-based violence prevention?
Yes, there's definitely are. Off the top of my head, I can't. I'm trying to think. Safe States Alliance and yes, there's definitely opportunities in that area. And if you want to, again, feel free to send me an email and I can do some digging and send you the exact organizations that we have relationships with. And that goes for, across the board. If you're interested in falls or suicide prevention or whatever, and you want to learn more about the opportunities before applying, then please email me and I'll send you a list of specific organizations that do that work or specific people that do that work. But for your particular question on sexual violence, I know for a fact there are opportunities. I just can't think on the top of my head what organizations are.
Thank you. And a question coming in, is it possible for students to enroll in more than one certificate program?
That is a question probably for the Emory certificate program coordinator. As far as I'm concerned, if you're interested in 2 certificates, then I don't see why you can't. That said, if I don't know what the policy is on a higher level, if that's allowed. So I could look into that for you, or you can maybe ask the director of all certificate programs or or someone else in a kind of higher level. But if it is allowed, then we'll allow you to be in our certificate program in addition to another.
Great, thank you. And a student wondering, is it possible to apply for a part-time job at IPRCE, and can this job count as real?
Count as what? As
a real job, Rollins Earn and Learn.
So we definitely employ several people within iPrice, several students within iPrice. So there's graduate assistantships available that cover the pay. And I believe the majority of those are part-time. So that would be kind of, it would depend on availability, but I do know that we have those opportunities available.
And Dorian, if I could hop in, this is Ashley Singleton. I'm the Vice Program Manager, and we do have real positions available, and those will be posted on Handshake.
Perfect.
Thank you. And another question about that organization. Can you talk about partnerships with ethnic organizations in Atlanta? Does IPRCE partner with ethnic organizations?
I'm sure we do. We have a vast network of professionals and organizations. If you have specific questions of individual ethnic organizations, please feel free to email me. But I don't. If you have specific ones in mind, let me know. But yes, we have people and partnerships and relationships with many organizations in Atlanta and throughout Georgia and the Southeast. So I'm sure there are those partnerships available. If you have specific ones in mind, please let me know and I'll let you know.
Great, thank you. And a question asking, is it possible to do this certificate program with health policy and management? And there's some concern around being able to meet the requirements as an HPM student.
So we're getting into specifics of specific programs that I don't know the requirements for all of these different ones. I'm happy to discuss this with you on an individual basis. We try to make the certificate program as reasonable to meet all requirements as possible. I encourage you to discuss with your advisor or your department chair or mentor if they think that it's possible for you to meet the requirements of their program and the certificate program. But again, we're talking 2 core courses and 5 electives, and a lot of them may overlap. So I can't really speak to that specific program just because I'm not familiar with it. But I think that's a question for your advisor. But we would welcome your application and trying to make everything as reasonable as possible to complete.
Thank you. And to our students asking about tuition, if I may, please consult our website for tuition information, as it varies if you are pursuing an MPH versus an MSPH. There is no added additional tuition cost for the certificate program if you are an enrolled student at the Rollins School of Public Health. So thank you for all your tuition questions. We also do offer a number of scholarships available to students. And again, that information can be found on our website. So a question about the definition of violence. Does the program focus on one's own physical, or does it also focus on mental violence?
Mental violence, and by mental violence, are you talking about like self-directed violence, like suicide or self-injury? Because that's definitely something that we consider. So violence is a kind of an umbrella term that covers everything from violence like domestic violence, from child abuse to suicide to self-injury. We actually have on our website definitions and more information about what we consider violence, what we consider injury. But if you're talking about specifically self-directed violence like suicide, I'm actually a suicide researcher, so that's definitely part of our focus, or at least our area. So yes.
Great, thank you. And students asking about some details regarding examples of capstone or thesis work that students have completed.
So one student she was from Colombia, and she did a thesis on sexual violence in her home country of Colombia. Was one. We've had people do. One woman did a thesis at her on research of brain injury at her practicum placement at Shepherd Center. We've had a couple people do a thesis on intimate partner violence and domestic violence at I think one was at Safe States Alliance. So some of them are data driven, so they collected data. Others are more of a kind of overview of an area. You will need to work with your main advisor on the thesis, but that said, I could be involved as much or as little as you want, but there's lots of opportunities, and again, if you have any of these specific questions that I don't have the comprehensive answer off the top of my head, please email me. I could send you a list of the last 8 or 5, whatever, 10 thesis titles that people have worked on.
Thank you. And a question coming from a student: are there opportunities available for advocacy and policy work in the certificate program?
Yes. I mean, in my department, we have lots of advocacy opportunities available in iPrice as well. Many of the core faculty at iPrice actually are primarily based at Grady Hospital. And so we advocate for our patients. And that's just one example. There's other organizations that you can get involved in advocacy or policy work, whether that's at a specific organization or more kind of a broad policy or advocacy focus. So yes, for sure. There's lots of opportunities for that.
Great, thank you. And another question: do students completing this program typically have experience in a particular background coming?
You kind of cut out the last sentence.
Sorry about that. Do students have a particular background, educational or professional background, as they're coming into this certificate program?
Not really. There's not one kind of type of student. We have lots of diverse backgrounds, diverse educations. We really, our main thing we're looking at is an interest in the field. So we don't really, we look at your background, but if you have an interest in injury or violence, then we are more than happy to have you and offer opportunities to further your career in the field.
Great, thank you. And some questions around research. What do you foresee or already have seen trending in student research?
So we have 5 task forces within iPrice. They include violence, falls, traffic related injury, for example. So it's really, we want you to have kind of a some sort of interest, but then we would provide opportunities and see, and then kind of guide you through that. In terms of specific kind of interests that have recently been, that have recently come up, firearm injury has gained a lot of interest with our students, and we have some really high quality researchers that are doing great work in firearm injury. We also have motor vehicle crashes, suicide, and then suicide and self-injury research has also been of interest to students. And domestic violence seems to always kind of be at the forefront of people's research interest. And I mean, and I should mention I'm a clinical psychologist, so anything related to mental health is seems to be very important for me for sure, but also our students.
Thank you. And a student asking, does the certificate last a lifetime, or do students need to do something to renew their certificate?
No, it lasts forever. You have the certificate is on your official transcript when you graduate. So in addition to your MPH transcript with all your grades and everything, you'll have a line on that says you've obtained the certificate. When you graduate, you have it for life. There's no need to renew it. And by getting the certificate, and if you're continuing your career, which we hope you do in the field, then I think the certificate will actually go a long way for employers who are looking to hire people interested in injury violence.
Thank you. And we have a couple of students asking, is it possible to pursue their certificate in the second year of enrollment?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we want our preference is for students to enroll in the certificate in their first year. That's really our preference, and ideally that's what we would like. However, we definitely consider and we admit students that are going in their second year. The issue that sometimes arises if you're doing that in your second year is you need to make sure that you're taking the core courses. But again, first year is ideal because then we can start you on the track to get all the requirements as well as the opportunities for practicums, for research, that kind of thing. So if you really want to get the most out of the certificate, it's good to do it, or you should do it in your first year. That said, we've definitely admitted students that are in their second year.
Thank you. And a question from a student, can you talk about the main differences between this certificate program, which does cover mental health, and the certificate for mental health?
So I'm not familiar with their certificate for mental health, so I can't discuss the differences. I can tell you that, I'm not sure what the mental health certificate has this injury component. We're definitely more broad in the opportunities available, I would think, and since injury covers mental health doesn't necessarily cover injury, and so I don't have that specific answer because I don't know much about the mental health certificate. But I would say if you're interested in mental health, we have lots of opportunities available in our certificate. And we have psychiatrists, psychologists all on faculty at iPrice, which can also provide opportunities.
Thank you. And are there study abroad opportunities associated with this certificate?
That's a good question. I don't know if there are now. That's not to say that we can't, work with you. We actually, there's a student now that is going, somewhere in South America for a summer practicum. And there's those opportunities. We can't, in terms of international summer abroad, we don't have like a summer abroad funding mechanism or something that we could send you somewhere and pay for it. That said, we all have lots of relationships with international scholars and universities. So there are those connections, but in terms of like a summer abroad program housed within iPrice, we don't necessarily have that or the funds to send somebody to one of those abroad programs.
Thank you. I think that wraps up our questions for this session. Thank you very much for your thoughtful questions. And I know that I speak for everyone in saying that if you do have additional questions, we are absolutely happy to answer them at any time. This session was recorded, and a recording will be emailed out to everyone who registered for this session. So if there was something that you missed, or if you're interested in having some of that contact information right in your inbox, we will be able to generate that email in the next couple of business days. So with that, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see many of you at the Rollins School of Public Health. We hope you're all doing well, and thanks again for joining us. Have a great day. This concludes our session.
Thank you.